So I made a video about Helios a few months ago now, which ended up doing pretty well. There were a lot of interesting comments surrounding the Beyblade Metal Series movie, which were fun to read, but a few comments specifically really left me thinking. Some people were asking if the movie was canon to the rest of the Beyblade Metal Series, which at first I thought yes. I didn't see why it wouldn't be canon, but after really thinking about it, the answer becomes unclear. If we were to just assume that the movie is in fact canon, it would have to fit into the events of the Beyblade Metal Series, so basically this means that somewhere over the course of Metal Fusion through Metal Fury, there had to have been a gap of time large enough for the events of the Soul Blaze movie to fit into. So I was trying to find that gap, where the events of this movie could have possibly taken place within the Beyblade Metal universe. But I found out that there isn't a whole lot of room. The Metal series is only 3 seasons long. I'm excluding Shogun Steel because the Soul Blaze movie obviously couldn't have taken place during that time period. So with only 3 seasons that we can really work with, it's not easy to find any gaps in the story at all. And not to mention, a whole lot happened in the Soul Blaze movie. There was the intro tournament, all the natural disasters, the final showdown with Helios and Bakin, and then the scene where Jinga and Helios go into outer space. The Beyblade Metal Series timeline is already pretty cramped as it is, so where and when could all of these events from the movie have taken place? Well, before we start trying to figure that out, let's narrow down our options. We know it's not during Metal Fusion, because Jinga's using Galaxy Pegasus in the movie, not to mention Masamune is a part of the friend group in the movie, and he's not even introduced until season 2. So the movie taking place during Metal Fusion is out of the question. But we can also eliminate Metal Fury for the same reason. Jinga has Cosmic Pegasus and Fury, but again in the movie he's using Galaxy Pegasus. So that leaves us with Metal Masters as the only possibility. But now we have to figure out where in Metal Masters could this movie's events actually have taken place. And the truth is, there's not really an answer. Metal Masters is pretty packed in terms of things going on, with the main event of course being the World Championships, and there just isn't enough time in between World Championship matchups for the events of the Soul Blaze movie to take place. And when the tournament concludes, it leads straight into the Spiral Force arc, which gets resolved in the last episode of the season. So there's just not enough time for the events of the Soul Blaze movie to take place during Metal Masters. All 3 seasons either just don't work, or they just don't have enough time for the movie to fit into. So this probably just means that the movie isn't canon. Well, not necessarily. There's still 2 more time periods where the movie could have possibly taken place. I mean, if there's no time during the 3 seasons, then what about in between them? Firstly, we have in between Metal Fusion and Metal Masters. There could probably be time to fit the movie's events in this period, but there's one big problem. Jinga doesn't get a new Beyblade until an episode or 2 into Metal Masters. So this means in between the 2 seasons, he didn't have a Beyblade, which immediately eliminates any possibility of the movie taking place here. So we're left with one more chance, that being in between Metal Masters and Metal Fury. This option would actually make the most sense out of everything we've talked about so far, but let's talk about Metal Fury for a second. Some of the main characters have different designs, which in these types of shows can usually be used to signify a time skip. Now, I'm not saying that there's some sort of a huge time gap in between seasons 2 and 3, but there could be a possibility for a smaller one, like maybe 3 to 6 months, or if you really want to push it, maybe a year. A whole year definitely feels like a stretch, but we don't need that much time. The events of the Beyblade movie could have taken place over the course of a couple of months, or maybe even just 1. So far, everything checks out. We probably have enough time to fit the events of the movie here. The World Championships conclude, the Spiral Force is dealt with, the events of the movie take place, and then after that, Metal Fury could start. This time period is definitely the best choice on where to place the movie, but it still comes with a fair share of problems. Very early on into Metal Fury, Madoka is repairing Pegasus. She then comments on how much damage it took from Hades City. So Pegasus has a bunch of damage that it sustained at Hades City, which basically means that Pegasus was out of commission from the end of Metal Masters until she repairs it in Metal Fury. This obviously crushes any chances of Jinga doing much of anything in between the 2 seasons, especially with Pegasus in the Helios movie. I would say that maybe Pegasus could have been repaired after the movie, but that's not possible either. Pegasus is quite literally fried after the Hades City arc, and that's it. There's nowhere else for the movie to logically take place during the Beyblade timeline, unfortunately making the movie most likely not canon. But still, Helios makes an appearance in the anime. In the very last episode of Shogun Steel, he's seen with Team Lavushka. I mean, what do you guys think? Is this just a nod to Helios during the last ever episode of the Metal series? Or is it confirmation that his movie could in fact be canon? Me personally, I'd like to think that the movie is canon and that I just missed something, but it's not looking very likely. But anyways, let me know what you think in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.